Welcome back to episode 4 of Insanity's Lightbulb, where toe orgies, piddles, and feminine hygiene aren't just awkward, they're part of the survival guide. All that and more coming up next on
The Unraveling Thoughts of Insanity's Lightbulb.
On today's episode, let's talk family, because behind every misunderstood genius is a cast of characters who either shaped his brilliance or tried to return him for store credit. My dad left when I was 3, so I really didn't know him, which meant my core family became Mom, Graham, and my little brother Stevie. And me! And the anxious ghost of my future therapist. Today's episode is about the legend, the myth, the full-blown national emergency that is Little Stevie de Laurier. Little Stevie likes to think that he's the provider of my existence, but really, the only thing he's ever provided for me was a lifetime reminder that confidence and charm were all he needed to survive in the wild roller rinks of Dover, Delaware. Armed with nothing but a smile and a smooth pickup line, and the unauthorized cologne experience from the JCPenney counter at the Blue Hen Mall, he made every girl at the Dover skating rink, or within a 12-mile radius, want to be his skating partner. That was until he got hit with a cease and desist letter from the Tri-County Jealous Boyfriends Association, citing emotional damage, excessive kissing during couples skating, and a felony-level eye twinkle. Meanwhile, all I had was a stack of used 45s from Spencer's Flea Market and a hopeless crush on Mary Ann from Gilligan's Island, who looked straight into the camera like she was promising me a date if I could just get her off that island. So I mailed a coconut to her fan club, hollowed out, full of escape instructions. And a week later, I got a box of live squirrels and a note that said, "You're nuts. No return address." I bet it was from the professor. But that's a conspiracy for another day. But in this episode, I'm going to talk about my little baby brother, Stephen de Laurier. In 1982, Stephen turned 14, and we were living in Trapp, Maryland, a town so small the welcome sign had a mirror. And on the surface, Stevie was just like any other kid. He read How to Eat a Crab Like a Native. He called Old Bay seasoning the holy dust. And he was also a little naive because he really believed that the Big O stood for the Baltimore Orioles, the Baltimore Orioles baseball team, and not the pleasure release from, well, the Forbidden Wiggle. Unfortunately, he screamed, "I live for Big O's!" in the school lunchroom. Sister Burnett, the unsmiling, hasn't blinked since.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
But you know, little Stevie was a little different too. He once built a military outpost in our front yard, armed with G.I. Joes, to defend against a rubber duck invasion. His security was so strict, the action figures wouldn't even let him back in, so he slept in a drainage ditch until Mom negotiated a ceasefire. And every Saturday morning before cartoons, he held a Chuckle Chuckle memorial service, sacrificing his latest Madonna cassette tape to bring back his beloved childhood clown doll, Chuckle Chuckle, who laughed when you pulled his string. And then there was the time he walked barefoot through the Annapolis Mall. He claimed his toes needed to spiritually connect with other nude toes. And that escalated into what local papers called a full-blown toe orgy. Now there's a sign at the mall that says, "Socks and shoes required." I'm so sorry, Annapolis. So sorry.
What are you going to do now?
But what really set little Stevie apart was his war against words. Not the bad ones. He could rattle off curse words like a malfunctioning Teddy Ruxpin. No, it was the innocent ones that he hated. Words like moist, sorry Brittany, ointment, mucus, and the one that caused the great word massacre of 1987, puss. He didn't hate what they meant, just how they made him feel. He believes words were secretly plotting against him, like some underground dictionary cult. So he created a replacement vocabulary, words he deemed dignified, words that sounded like they were approved by a 7-year-old in a Return of the Jedi t-shirt, holding a Fisher-Price tape recorder and writing the Constitution in Cheerios. But what words were so horrific that it caused the Great Word Massacre of 1987? Could it be Chuckle Chuckle whispering these words from the lower depths of the Goodwill bin? But there were words, perfectly innocent words. But little Stevie had to change them because he absolutely thought they should be banned from the English language altogether. But what words could be so horrifying that little Stevie de Laurier had to... What surprised my family was that little Stevie de Laurier had become something of a sacred word prophet, and unintentionally a local tourist attraction. Soon people were coming from all over just to pull the little Stevie string to find out which perfectly innocent word had now become officially blacklisted by the unabridged book of banned words, Stevie edition, now with 30% more filtered choices. Of course, this caused a tourist boom in our small little town on Maryland's eastern shore. And that had an unexpected consequence. For you see, we lived in a town that was called Trap. And not by accident. The town was basically a roach motel with a post office. People came in and got trapped and never left. And just like that, Trap grew. Not because people wanted to stay, but because they could not find the damn exit.
Uh-oh.
And now I know what you're thinking. What words were in the unabridged book of banned words, Stevie edition? What words could possibly be so offensive to turn little Stevie de Laurier into a dictator of vocabulary? Well, it all started quietly. A whispered decree that a certain part of the male body, even the medical term, penis, must be banned. Then a formal announcement from atop of a milk crate throne using a McDonald's Happy Meal megaphone. From this day forward, we will no longer say the name of that body part. It is now Tommy. Out of every name on earth, he picked Tommy. Not Chuck, not Bob, not even Etzel, but Tommy. Also banned from little Stevie's vocabulary, pee, urine, number 1 and number 2. Number 1 and number 2? Why? I hear you cry. Because numbers meant math, and math to little Stevie de Laurier wasn't a subject. It was a personal betrayal. And God forbid you use a word like urination. So instead, you had to say piddle. But the word most feared, the most vile, the word so unspeakably grotesque, a word that made cafeteria ladies weep, a word that curdled grammar, scarred childhoods, and ruined an entire field trip to the Baltimore National Aquarium. A word, according to little Stevie de Laurier, should only be whispered during lunar eclipses wearing a hazmat suit. And that word is diarrhea. According to little Stevie, if you say that word out loud, you can taste the word splatter in your mouth. So, according to little Stevie de Laurier, anything that came out of your anus, butt, your brown hole, your poop deck, your back hatch, your bottom. So every disgusting bodily term that came out of your bottom got crammed into one all-purpose catchphrase. Cranks. That's right, cranks. No one knows why, not even Stevie. Then there was toilet paper, rebranded as bathroom tissue. A fart, now called toots. Sex was now referred to exclusively as the horizontal heart talk. And his pride, purple Calvin Klein underwear, that's right, even the word underwear, banned. Too suggestive. He renamed them his purple Calvin Klein Snuggle Trunks, manufactured by teddy bears for modesty. A loud stomach growl, now a gastro whisper. Throwing up? Little Stevie doesn't throw up. He experiences a reverse snack event. And heaven help you if you ever said the word panties. He'd scream, cover his ears like a traumatized 7-year-old. Living with Stevie was like growing up in an episode of Sesame Street, written by a maniac. Honestly, it felt like I was watching the birth of a new language. So far, we've been introduced to bold new vocabulary words like cranks, Tommy, piddle, and gastro whispers. Because when little Stevie rewrites the dictionary, even your digestive system needs a rebranding. But next week, in part 2 of Little Stevie and the Great Word Massacre of 1987, that's when things get truly unhinged. We're talking full-scale word meltdown in the feminine hygiene aisle of our local A&P. Little Stevie de Laurier's sanity is questioned. And Stevie's couple skating partner, Tina, let's just say she was never the same after witnessing... I can't say it. You'll just have to wait for next week's episode. It's not just part 2. It's a public service announcement from the wrong side of the dictionary. And trust me, you're going to need tissues. The emotional kind. And the absorbent kind. So go ahead. Like, subscribe, comment, offer emotional support. And remember to tune in next week for...
The Unraveling Thoughts of Insanity's Lightbulb.